For most academics, you'll only be considered successful after a certain career stage if you stay in academia and you become the principal investigator of a traditional research group. With less than 4% of PhD students achieving this level of PI, the vast majority of us will end our academic careers feeling like we have failed because we did not become PIs. In chasing these increasingly rare positions, we experience stress, push ourselves to burnout, and exacerbate a culture of unhealthy competition. However, through the challenges introduced to the Academy by the requirement for open science, a new set of career paths are developing, which bring wonderful opportunities for growth, success, and incredible impact across the whole research ecosystem. I'll be telling you more about these career paths today and what we can do to support this valuable opportunity to change how we define success in our careers as researchers. My name is Cassandra Gould van Praag. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a white woman in my late 30s and I have pink hair. I'm currently the Open Science Coordinator for the Wellcome Centre for Integrative Neuroimaging at the University of Oxford. First, I'd just like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank some people that have been incredibly supportive in my career so far, and also to acknowledge some people who have contributed directly to the ideas that I'll be presenting to you today. These are all folks with similar roles as me, and we're helping collectively to address some of the issues we face. So how have we arrived at this position where there are more job opportunities and more varied job opportunities in academia? Well, we know that our research is complex and involves multiple different moving parts, but with increasing focus on delivering open science and translational reproducible research, there's new pressure to ensure that each of those parts is really robust. So for example, in our study design, we might be expected to pre-register or run a meta-analysis. Our data, we are increasingly interested in high quality governance and good quality management when we make our data available for review. Our statistics is constantly evolving, and there's more focus on running analysis that is going to be robust to perturbations and reproducible. And we're increasingly encouraged to make our code available for review and contribution. So code needs to be high quality, well documented. Now, it might be unrealistic to expect a junior researcher to deliver all of these things to a high standard. And this is where people in team infrastructure roles come in. These people can help you achieve each of those things to an excellent standard and add immediate benefit to your project. So I would like to introduce you to a few of my colleagues who are in team infrastructure roles. We have Malika in Germany. She's a reproducibility trainer. Hao in Florida is a reproducibility librarian helping you manage archiving. Esther is a data steward in the Netherlands. She'll help you with achieve excellent data management and governance. Stefan is a research data and software engineer in Germany. He's helping design products to help you ensure that your data as well as your code are reproducible. Rowan is a licensing and IP specialist at Oxford. He'll help you release your materials in a way that makes sure that you get credit and other people can reuse them effectively. And Jess is a clinical impact and policy lead in Oxford. She's wonderfully positioned to help you translate your work to and from the clinic and ensure that it has impact. And open science is all about collaboration. So next, I'm going to introduce you to a bunch of people who can help you work in larger teams to gather larger data sets. So Senda is a scientific manager in Spain. She'll help you deliver large projects on time and to budget. Sarah is a research data manager in Germany. She helps manage a whole bunch of data stewards. So there's lots of resource to manage data across multiple projects. Dylan is an Open Science Alliance officer in Canada, and he has a fantastic role in helping broker relationships in the legal sense between different open science institutions. Ariel is a program manager at the Turing Institute in the UK. Now their program of work is about open science and reproducible infrastructure, which takes a massive amount of coordination and direction. Seb is an experimental support staff at Wynne and Oxford. and he can help you design technical and computational infrastructure to make the physical collection of data across multiple different projects effective and efficient. And me, I'm a coordinator and community manager. So my role is to help engage lots of different people in open science from the researcher level. Now, as you will have noticed, all of these people are doctors. They all hold PhDs. And I can speak for all of us when I say that none of us really saw ourselves fitting into the standard PI mold. We didn't want to be project leaders, but we did want to stay in the academy, and we did want the opportunity to contribute our skills and interests to research endeavors. So next, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my journey, how I came to get the role I am, which is basically called doing what I enjoy while the opportunities are available to me. So here is my career from the start of my DPhil to our current position. So as I went through my research in my PhD program, I completed it in a good amount of time, experiencing a very normal amount of stress. But by the end of my PhD, I probably lost a bit of the passion that I had for the research. When I started doing postdocs, I was reinvigorated by the opportunity to work with other people. I was writing and sharing code with people, and I really enjoyed contributing to other people's projects as much as my own. And about this time, I was starting to hear phrases like, be careful or you'll become a technician. And when I heard that, I remember thinking, well, what's the problem with being a technician? I would be a very good technician. Why isn't that good enough for everyone else around me to consider my career successful? And then in 2018, I stepped into my first infrastructure role. So here my role was to support image analysis across a large group of people. And again, I got to do the thing that I loved, which was helping other people do their research in the most efficient, practical, and effective way possible. Not long after starting that role in 2018, I found the Open Science Room at OHBM in Singapore. And that, even more than anything else that I'd done so far, really reignited my enthusiasm for science as an endeavor. And then in 2020, I was offered the role of the Open Science Coordinator at WIN. And here, this is basically an extension of what I was doing in my original infrastructure role, where after finding the Open Science Room, I was encouraging our lab and teaching everyone in our group how to do good, robust open science. And then stepping into that role in the WIN was just extending that training and the materials that I was creating, extending that to a broader community, which I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity to do. And now I'm finding more and more I've got the opportunity to influence policy and infrastructure around open science and deliver a broad ambition of open science to the whole WIN community. And to be honest, I couldn't be happier with my role. I get to speak to amazing people. I get to deliver amazing things. And I really consider myself to have been successful in the career that I have carved. So the question is, am I a researcher? Am I doing research? Now, this matters not only from a personal level, but also on a practical sense about how my role is classified and what limits that imposes on what I can achieve. So what do you think? Am I doing research? Am I contributing to the body of knowledge in my discipline or academia in general? Now, where this becomes most important is how human resources classify us. Are we researchers or are we professional services? And which camp we fall into has big implications for how we are valued, rewarded, recognized, and how we can progress in our careers. Which brings me to the final section of this talk. How do we value people in these infrastructure roles? How do we reward them for their successes, and how do we recognize their contributions to science? So a framework that I think is useful here to understand the value of people like me is a project management tool, which says that every project has 3 constraints around time, money, and quality. Everyone wants their project done quickly and at low cost, and they want high quality as well. But this framework will tell us that it's not possible to achieve all 3 things at the same time. Something is always sacrificed. So if you want a project done quickly and at low cost, you'll end up with low quality. And this is what happens when unskilled people or less skilled people try to do the kind of complex things that someone like a data steward does very easily. If you want something done quickly, but to a high quality, it's going to be expensive because you'll end up employing someone like an external consultant because they can deliver to the quality you need, but they are not cheap to come by and they'll make a heavy dent in your budget. And finally, if you still want that high quality and you haven't got much money, well, you can turn to volunteers. But this means your product will be slow to deliver because volunteers will never be able to prioritize your project over and above what they're paid to do. Now, people in infrastructure roles, I think, can help deliver that magical sweet spot in the middle of the project where you have something done quickly to a high quality and low individual cost for yourself. And here's how we do it. We can save you time in your project by employing the skills that we have developed over our entire careers and delivering them to you at the point that you need it. So no longer will you have to wait for a researcher to learn everything about research data management. We can step in and guide them so they can effectively acquire the skills and then return them to you later on down the line. We'll also save you money because we're most often not attached to a specific project as someone like a consultant would be. So we're funded by core funding across multiple different projects, and that means our roles are sustainable as well. And we can deliver quality to you. We are really invested in the things that we do. We love to help people flourish and do their best as researchers. So we've got excellent motivation and wonderful expertise to help you achieve the quality that you're looking for, whether that's in your code, in your managed data, or in your things like registration and meta-analysis. So hopefully I've painted a picture for you there about how valuable it is to have people like me and the colleagues I introduced to you originally, and how much value we can bring to your project. But as I said, there are outstanding issues that we have to tackle as a community to work out how these people in these new roles can be rewarded and recognized for their contributions. So first, I think it's really important to remember that these people should be in paid employment. Volunteers can do amazing things, but they'll never be able to deliver them to the same standard and at the same pace as someone who's paid to prioritize this kind of work. There's a massive gap around career progression for people in infrastructure roles. We're never going to become professors, and many of us don't want to become academic management. So are there defined pathways for our development? How can we continue to grow and potentially without the requirement for line management, which isn't something all of us are interested in? It's also really important to ensure that these people receive credit for their contributions. Now, credit in this way, I'm talking about the contributor roles taxonomy, which some journals are requiring. And this means that you identify the individual contributions and you name them in your publications. But it's not only publications that we're talking about here. There are many different types of research output which are promoted by open science. And in some cases, it's appropriate to credit people in infrastructure roles on the other outputs, but not on the main publications. And that is absolutely fine. But what we need to remember is that publications or published outputs are the currency of academia. So if we think these people are researchers, then they should also be paid in the currency that our community values. And finally, how do we celebrate these contributions? It's not uncommon to see on Twitter, for example, such and such amazing academic has received this amazing fellowship and they are a rising star in our community. These people are singled out and identified as heroes. Now, that's not likely to happen for someone in an infrastructure role because there aren't these opportunities for external validation. There's no competition for our roles. So how do we ensure that the contributions and values of these people are celebrated and platformed in a way that everybody understands and respects across the academy? So If you're thinking about employing or working with someone in a team infrastructure role, I'd like you to think really carefully about how you resource them and how you invest in these roles. So by resources, we don't only mean the physical and digital infrastructure, but also the people. There are many people that are skilled across the whole set of open science practices, but in order to deliver everything to a high standard, we're going to need more people, more bodies on the floor, so they can focus on the specific niches. And we're going to need investment as well. Understand that we want to grow as academics and we want to contribute to this community, but that can't be done for free. So how are you going to help us grow in our career paths, and how are you going to ensure that we are sustainable in the long term? So that's it. Throughout this talk, I hope I've emphasized and helped you understand why team infrastructure roles are necessary. And that's mostly to do with the increasing complexity that is being seen in our research and a requirement for specialization in the work that we do. Hopefully you'll agree as well that people in these team infrastructure roles can help you deliver a project that meets that sweet spot between the constraints of time, money, and quality, and help you deliver high quality and rapid value at low cost yourself. We are also so enthused about teamwork in these roles, so we encourage you to actively collaborate with us early and throughout your whole research project. But we encourage you to think really carefully about reward. How are you going to show us that these roles are valued and valuable? How are you going to recognize our contributions in the way that the whole academy can understand? And how are you going to resource us and invest in our growth and prepare for the future, where you're likely to see more and more demand for the kind of things that we can deliver? Thank you.